I'll say that. Calling the meeting to order at 5:03. We actually have two sets of minutes to approve. The 13th and the 27th.
I'll make a motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Second.
Any comments or changes? I was missing some names in one of them. Does that matter?
No, I put a few names in.
Okay, all right. All in favor of approving the minutes? Aye.
We want lights.
Sure.
Any changes to the agenda?
Michael, do you want to be on the agenda?
I just had a meeting with non-emergency manager, I'd be helpful.
Okay, so we can add that.
Sat on the, reconnecting with Adam, whoever. Who came, who spoke at the last meeting.
Just for here.
Sure,
Yeah,
If his last name wasn't in the minutes.
I know, I didn't.
I
catch
put
it.
that in.
Yeah.
What was it? Just
I
for,
can't remember.
Oh.
Okay, well, I'd like to
Yeah,
put it
yeah.
on agenda that we, whatever, follow up on that.
Yes,
other two items to add are Betsy's postcard. Betsy,
Yes.
your postcard,
Yeah, that would be under,
you want that on the agenda?
Yeah.
And we can, in the MTAP money.
On the, okay.
yeah,
And then David, there's your deck from the meeting that you had.
That's part of that.
Oh, that's also part
Yeah,
of that,
yeah.
okay. Okay,
can I make a question? Laura,
Yes.
can you hear us okay? Is the volume good?
Yes, I'm using captions.
Oh, okay, but you can hear, so, all right on them. Okay, great, thanks, just checking.
Lydia, could you read the community agreements?
Yes, as a committee, we just all agree to be mindful of the meeting minutes and the time and make sure that everybody gets a chance to talk and we want to be open-minded. And if we disagree with anything, we disagree with ideas on.
Is there any public comment?
I have a project update. Speaking as a Plainfield citizen, is there any rules about switching hats for this?
No, you're both, really.
I feel like both. Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, I think I told the committee that the project that I'm working on, 70 Creamery Street, we were informed by the fire marshal that they're requiring a sprinkler system for that house. And I have since met with the Downtown Village Center tax credit program, and that was a program that we had applied for a few years ago and received a grant, but it's conditional based on a certificate of occupancy. So the fire marshal said that we could potentially have 3 years to implement a sprinkler program, and that the Downtown Village Center tax credit program actually encouraged us to apply for a second round. There's no rules precluding the projects from applying for multiple rounds of funding through that program. So long as you can't double dip on the work. So if you have work done under one group, you can't put it into the next session. And they require that you take a year off. So I just wanted to make that known to the committee that it's another resource that we could potentially be pointing people toward. They are offering sprinkler credits up to 50% of the total cost for $50,000. And I believe that they have code compliance credits now that are also up to 50% of the total cost of the project, and that's up to $100,000 per project. So that's and those don't overlap. So you could have code compliance ones and you could have sprinkler credits as well. So depending on what you're doing, there's actually different options for applying for funding. There's historic credits, there's facade credits, but in terms of just building safety, there's.
And you were able to do this as private citizen.
Yes, and it's,
And if there's no, are there affordability?
there's not an affordability clause, but
Okay.
they have a scoring rubric that is based on, essentially like community impact. Is the project feasible? What's the total timeline? What's the total budget? How big of an impact will their contribution have on your overall thing? And so they'll go through and score it and decide whether or not it's a project that checks the boxes for that.
And this was on our list.
It's on your list,
On the
yeah.
list, yeah, good.
Yeah.
Is this only for sprinklers or?
It's for any code violations so it's a program that's meant to essentially rehabilitate buildings within the downtown and village center. Cannot be applied to buildings that are up on the hill. And it's not even the entirety of what we necessarily consider the downtown. We worked with Will back in the zoning committee in 2023 to set the boundaries of where the downtown and village center was to be able to include a few other apartment complexes, which are considered commercial buildings. So it's generally for commercial buildings, so it's not for like single family and private residences. It's for it would be for multifamily units and it can be for business development as well. So if you wanted to like rehabilitate a space to open a business in it, that's another thing that you could apply for. And you don't have to be the building owner to apply for these funds either.
And it appears that it's continuous, it's applications accepted on a rolling basis
Yes,
and.
they do have terms. So right now there is an application deadline of July 1, but I believe they have multiple terms throughout the year where you can apply. And it's, I believe, a pretty continuous funding stream. So since I've been clued into it, they've been awarding every year from the same sort of set of funds.
Graham, I have a question.
Yeah,
The Village Historic District doesn't include Hudson. Avenue.
right.
Is the central village designated area include Hudson Avenue?
No,
Or,
You have to have continuity between residential and business.
yes,
There has to be, if you were to open a business, or there was a business on Hudson Avenue, then you could consider expanding it. But their definition of a village center is contingent on
okay.
proximity toward commercial.
Well, I intended to have a business, it just never happened. So.
Well, it's never too late.
yeah.
Will you say that again? It would be a designated historic district?
No, village center designation. That's where.
It has to have.
It has to, when they draw the boundaries, it has to have continuity with businesses, so it has to be a mixture of business and residential. If it's purely residential, then there's no business. And we spent a long time, when we tried to apply.
Tried to go big.
We went big, and they said no, then we went a little small, and they said no.
That's good.
And so it tried to try.
Now, a follow-up question is, there are two commercial, we just went over this with, the state. There are two commercial buildings on Hudson Avenue, 10 Hudson and Art Edelstein's house, because they are not owner occupied, rental housing. Is that change?
Rental housing is residential.
It's still
Yeah,
residential,
and
okay.
George Cushing's antique shop is sort of a standalone.
Okay,
So they're very big.
okay, I got it.
But oh, it's a designation for housing. There's a special
It's
board,
a state level,
yes.
but they only take recommendations from the county. Wasn't it through Washington
Well,
County?
no, any town can apply.
Okay,
But you need to apply to them
yeah,
with these criteria. And basically you work with a guy who makes it fit the box. And they
Yeah.
usually always approve the box because he makes it fit the box.
So the description that, community development, gave us.
Oh, that's your math.
Doesn't say that, says economic development loans to businesses, but it also says housing rehab and acquisition, lead abatement, home ownership.
no, that's for, that might be, it's a different program. This is the Downtown and Village Center Tax Credit.
Okay, It's
So
not part
Graham,
of it.
does it mean you'll be able to go forward?
It means that I am applying for the sprinkler credit. And I wanted to request a letter of support from the board.
Okay.
The application includes a section where you can list essentially, partners within how you're completing the project, and whether or not it meets the community's stated goals. And I basically compared what we were charged with the document that you shared the past week.
Yeah.
What's the housing committee's actual charge
Yes.
and what's our sort of defining principles? And then basically just ran through it and found that they all applied to this project. In that it was, within the village center, it's gonna expand the tax base for the town. It provides additional water and wastewater clients for the municipal system. And it meets the definition of smart growth in that it's non-sprawl, it's adding density to the already existing part of the village. So I thought it was a nice fit with the Housing Advisory Committee, so I wanted to just get permission to share a potential letter of support with the committee, send it along and see if we can get that.
Would you like the committee to endorse that letter?
I would like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
have you got one? written?
I have a draft, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I guess,
I can share it or read it or
yeah,
whatever.
you read it and then
Yeah.
we could.
We can make a motion to
One of the chairs
approve and
sign it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a chair.
Graham, just before I lose my focus, can you tell me the name of the program again?
It's the Downtown and Village Center Tax Credit.
Okay, and it is on our list?
It was in that document. Yep.
Okay.
I feel like it was on a page that there were like 4 dots.
Oh, okay.
And then it had
Oh,
one
I got it,
page
I got
all of its own, 17, page 17.
Yeah, well, I don't, yes. Okay, 17. Yes, great, thank you. There's so many, I'm just trying to get
17
them
of
all
20.
straight in my,
Yeah.
great.
It was, David shared a document a couple days ago to
The
the
one from, the
committee email.
one, the email that Nikki sent us after our meeting.
So here's the letter, I can read it, and then I'll potentially send it to whoever. To the Downtown Village Center Tax Credit Selection Committee. The Plainfield Housing Advisory Committee was created by our select board in the wake of the historic flooding of 2023 and 2024, which have devastated our village center, wiping out dozens of housing units from our already aging housing stock. The committee is charged by the select board of Plainfield with the specific mission to develop financially feasible pathways to more housing opportunities in the town of Plainfield. This committee expresses our support for the rehabilitation of the property at 78 Creamery Street by Graham Keegan and Roseberry. The project is in direct alignment with our goals and guiding principles, namely, by adding 3 additional housing units, this project will increase the availability of safe and affordable housing within the village center. The improvements to the property will raise the assessed value and help to restore and grow the tax base. The project is being privately funded, creating no additional cost to the town. The additional units have the desired effect of expanding the water and wastewater user base. The character of the project is attentive to the quality and life of the town of Plainfield while honoring its historic character. The project meets our expectations of smart growth, creates no residential sprawl, rehabilitates a derelict structure which is not in a flood zone, and supports our local economy through the use of Plainfield area contractors. We hope that you choose to support this project as well. Thank you, Plainfield Housing Advisory Committee.
I would make the motion that Liz's chair could sign that letter. It sounds like it's right up her alley, so I'll make that motion.
Hang on, I have one question.
Sure.
Can I, just for a full, disclosure or something?
Yeah.
You did use the word affordable,
Yes.
and can you expand on that a little bit?
Our plan, though we don't have a set rate, our plan is to rent our units at the median rate for Washington County.
Okay,
Median rate meaning like the data that's out there, what
Yes.
it's charged right now.
Yeah.
I would just like to point out that doesn't mean that's affordable.
Sure. Yeah.
Because if you look out there, even like a single one person trying to get a 1-bedroom or a studio, they have a really good job at this.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how that could be addressed.
It's this, I think
Yeah.
it's the same designation that the state would consider affordable. Even though it's also not necessarily affordable, the median rate is what they, for example, CDBGDR would say is affordable.
Yeah, and I don't think that necessarily lines up with like the other statistic out there, like it should be, housing should be 33% of your income or less.
Yeah,
And that's what they do for any like senior disability, section 8 housing, things like that. They usually cap it at 33%.
Yeah, I'm happy to either strike that word or, put it in as,
Or
a specific.
disability conscious housing.
Yeah, but create a more firm definition around it.
Market rate?
it's 80%
Market rate.
of median.
Yeah.
That they consider affordable, not median, it's 80% of median.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the old number that was on there for 33%.
Yeah, affordable is a buzzword, market rate,
Yeah.
is what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll put in, I can change that to market rate.
But there's,
Okay,
here, probably doesn't need to be in the letter, but there's another, significant, I think, good reason for us to support it, which is that then you will have gone through this process and you will become somebody who
Yep.
we can point
To
other
act to
people.
precedent, yeah.
Yeah,
right, you
So-
could be a mentor.
Right.
I would love that, yeah.
Well, I had
It's definitely
another,
been a eye-opening process.
Yeah.
I had another question, early in the letter, it cites the PHAC as created by the select board. But wasn't it created by the VCRD process and then approved by the select board?
No, it was created by the select.
It
board
was.
Specifically,
Okay,
the concept of it was determined by that, but the actual charge of this committee with.
yep, the charge, yeah,
Specific document,
okay.
with specific things.
So we, could approve with the change to market rate.
Right, right, so there was, there needs
We
to be
will
a
get
second,
motion.
yeah, but there wasn't a second. Ideally, there would be a motion second, and then you could discuss what we're discussing.
Yeah.
So not to be argumentative, wouldn't it be better to, if you are gonna offer them at, in relation to median, isn't that better than market rate? Because market rate could be well above median income.
Well, he described as the market rate for the area, for the,
Okay.
yeah. Market rate for Plainfield.
I think for this letter, it's. I'm happy to do whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just.
yeah.
just affordability
Yeah.
has a specific term, whereas
Yeah.
market rate for the area.
Yeah.
Doesn't bind you to have that.
Would you like? What would be the best way to make that amendment to the letter? Should I?
Well, I think, I mean, if we've
I
discussed
think you
it,
could change it in the email and
Yeah.
then send it to me and I'll sign it and send it back to you.
Okay, sounds good.
And just offering an alternative. Looking at like median salaries too, and then going from there for what would be affordable, like if you start at the lowest. Whatever percentage of that. Just another question.
Okay.
Put that in a letter.
Hmm?
How do you put that in a
No,
letter?
I mean, when he's deciding. what he
When
wants.
he's choosing.
It,
the-
yeah, it's just something to put out there. That would just, in my opinion, just be a better determination of what is affordable. For people.
We want to second that.
oh, I think yeah, we can have a second and a vote.
Okay, so I'll second
Sure.
the motion as amended.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Cool, thanks for doing that. Glenn.
Thank you.
That'd be really good.
Do you have any sense of when they'll be ready?
The units, we are looking at our initial conditional occupancy permit for the start of September. We have to get one of our certificates of occupancy to be able to receive our funding, our 2023 funding. So that one, we will have one ready for September, and then we're hoping 2 more within the year.
That's great.
Yeah,
So total of 3.
total of 3, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 1 per,
Yeah.
floor of the.
You don't live in one.
We're gonna rent one of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next agenda item is the nomination and election of a third co-chair. And a new committee member. Following the departure of Vicky. And the stepping down of Lydia. And we did try for volunteers last meeting and we didn't get any.
Any new, people wanna jump in? It's not that big a deal.
I mean, I just felt
Yeah,
that, and I don't,
yeah,
and I will, yeah.
totally cool, totally with her. I had this idea that we'd have round robin, rock, paper, scissors.
And this is for the co-chair that you're
Yes,
asking?
and for, the select board wanted 3 co-chairs, I don't know why. I thought we could sort of, two's good, but Francis.
We have
Rowe
to,
said,
we have to change the
Yeah.
charter
Yeah,
if we go to 2.
yeah,
So it will be better to stay with 3. I mean, the duties are. Sharing the chairing of the meeting, hosting the alerts for the meeting in the town in a couple of places. And compiling the agenda. I think that's about it, right? Keeping people on.
Are we allowed to, do we have any,
Nominate.
will we have a 9th person? Could they give us time to get a third co-chair until we have a co-chair?
yeah, the other thing to do is for the 9th member, we could say, you're co-chair. Simple.
Conditional membership.
Yeah, welcome aboard here.
It's a
Here's the
prestigious
keys.
position.
Absolutely. Look at us, the rest of us.
we had discussed, yeah, I said I would bring it up to Sam Clark. And he said he'd get back to me and he hasn't, but he was skeptical about whether he wanted to actually be on the committee. He might, he didn't get back to me, so there's a possibility he decided,
Okay.
he wrote back. But the fact that he didn't get back to me is,
He didn't jump
he
right
felt
out.
like he could do what he wants to do without being on the committee, participate the way he wants to.
Wasn't there somebody else who was interested?
There was Denise Brill, there was Sam, I don't have the.
There was also somebody who came to a select board meeting, I think a newish person in town that lives next to Francis Rose, who basically volunteered
Oh, okay.
to be on the committee, and then the select board felt like they needed to shunt it to us
Oh, okay.
to decide.
We
And
don't have that.
so I only know this from reading it in the select board minutes. So we'd have to look back at the minutes to see that person's name.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
His name's
I went to his house. Because I wasn't sure from the relative inaudibility of what he said, whether he wanted to be on the hazard mitigation committee or the housing. So I went and knocked on his door. He said, no, I really want to be on the housing advisory.
And
should
who,
chase it
do you
down.
remember his name?
He's an attorney, is,
His name's Russell.
Russell?
I remember writing.
Sounds like co-chair material.
Absolutely.
His name was Russell something, 'cause I remember writing.
I know he lives in apartment number 3 in the building next to Francis Rose. It's if you look at the front of the house, it's the porch at the rear.
I think
on
that
the
was
left.
May 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I tried to get everybody's names.
Who wants to chase it down?
Maybe we can invite him to the meeting.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
have him come along and see if he likes it.
I know niece has been on the Zoom meetings. And she's more known in town, but so I mean, if we have 2 good candidates.
So, yeah, I try to reach out at the next meeting if any of it can show up.
Okay, I can ask Janice.
Okay.
It's in, I'm trying to find it in the minutes. The guy's
Right.
name.
I don't know if I wrote it in the minutes. I think I just put it together after the fact.
No, it's select board here.
Oh, gosh.
Maybe somebody can contact Francis Rose. And that's where she probably knows the guys.
I did try emailing him with a message with an email address he gave me and it didn't work, so that's why I went in person. and just knocked on his door. It took 2 tries to get him, but he does live there.
It's Russ Green,
Russ Green,
green like the color.
With
And
an E at the end,
120 Main Street,
apartment 3.
and he's formerly a landscape architect, currently works in tech.
That's right, that's the
Would
guy.
like to contribute a favor.
Yeah.
So who's going to reach out to him?
I'll try to get in touch with him. And you'll
Okay.
get in touch with him.
And I'll get in touch with Tim. Yeah. Okay. So moving on, the next agenda item is the update on our outreach at the farmers market.
Yeah, the farmer's market started last Friday, so less than a week ago, we didn't go with that one. Hazel and I met and decided to do every other farmer's market, I was having stuff, like mobility issues, so just not feasible, so we did every other, which I think is neat. For at least 2 hours, and then we have some like flyers that we put up, or that we started to make that we're gonna bring. We're just gonna start talking and, you know, like I said, collecting names, so that'll start this Friday. We had also talked about, doing, like we said, doing before, doing more like door to door, like getting that list now with summertime. Having time to coordinate all our farmers markets and, you know, pick days to go out and just see what people are interested in talking about, or if they want any, deliverables with calling them. And then we also want to know if there's anything with the money, because we're meeting with, and I think we'll talk about this in a little bit, we're meeting with Laura, I forget her last name, about the money on Friday, to see how that's all delivered. So the, just added up like 8 times, you know, the hours that we get from us, like it's like $400 each, so there's plenty of money to pay somebody to print things. Betsy, it sounds like you have a postcard,
so
Yeah.
that's gonna be out of the other
other money, okay.
section of the money.
Okay. So we haven't fully talked about what we were gonna do for, any of the other things that we might print or make until we talk to Laura on Friday. But we were thinking like summarizing any of the things that we've done so far and having them available. I could even, I work in an office, I gotta talk to the financial coordinator, I'm sure they'd be fine with just taking, you know, X amount of money for sheet, and just pay that, that'd be very cheap. If you, and then anything that we think would be good to just make now that we have, this kind of our plan, have things to bring, when we knock on doors. So. That's kind of our.
So when we talked with Nikki, is that right, Nikki? She offered to, give you any kind of, pointers or, just, she's done, they've done a few of these things before and they, she should be some, you know, help you. And, she's at the Regional Planning Commission. I don't have her number right now, but if we do, we have it available.
With the NIKI Savado.
Oh, hi.
NIKI, and Savado, SAVADO, regional planning.
One last thing, we were also, somebody had mentioned last time we brought it up, it might have been Stanley. You know, she said the same people come to the farmer's market, so how is that gonna be outreach? So we also are going to be, like making a list of any other, like, you know, the old home days, we talked about this, so we're also gonna do stuff like that, but we're hoping that if we talk to people, we'll ask them to share. Like, hey, you know, I need to just spread the word that way. So we're still also, we kind of put it into phases, right now, we're just getting it going, and then the second phase, we can have like, you know, actual connected. Like that, which will start technically this Friday.
So do you have a sign?
No, my sister does, work at a graphics company, so that was something we'd also talked about. I could get something really discounted from her. So again, we're just kind of waiting till Friday to see the nuts and bolts of that, and then, we were gonna meet again. That's what we wanted to do, but, I don't know if anybody has any ideas for what specific message we want to, like, if we're to do with like Plainfield Housing Advisory Committee. With anything else we want on that, like the first initial reaction, we want people.
I'm sure that it's just the mail.
Yeah, something, yeah, right, you can put it on the mail.
I think the one thing to consider is that the postcard, which we'll give a report on later, is gonna be kind of geared towards, the village. And we have to come up with a list that is gonna be sent to, it's gonna be a more targeted thing, so it might be like one of the numbers that was mentioned was 50 people, and it's as Betsy's draft kind of started, it's gonna be more geared towards pointing people towards some of these resources, like what Graham was talking about, and that are on this the opportunity test. So I don't know if another mailing might be more in the line of, you know, what do people want? What, you know, like we talked about, more of a survey-ish kind of thing.
I was thinking just, you know, maybe starting out and saying, whatever, we want your input, or we, what are your, I don't know how you want to put it, but you know, what are your questions? How are you, you know, and then hopefully we're ready to, we're organize a little statement. But you've also got an organized statement maybe already in your head, but
We have like a flyer that definitely is like, we want to hear from you, it's a few bullet points, and then yeah, we're gonna expand on that, so, we don't have like a paragraph or like a summary or anything. But we had talked about the fact that you guys focus some time on the village center, and we might want to focus more on, you know, the people that are out in, you know, on the dirt roads, and who maybe can be also resources, or they might be looking for alternative housing. Stuff like that.
Is it worth, I mean, how would they contact us? Would you put an email address on that?
So we made a free email address, outreach.phas or something like that. We haven't used it yet, because I made the original form of the original flyer. We went to the Winter Farmers Market before we made that. So I have to update it, but I was waiting until the money stock got, because my work is probably getting out of certain few more than like 10 at a time or something. So yeah, so we do have that. And we'll be able to have that as a point of contact for anybody who might just have any questions about like networking or anything like that. But we can share that with anybody who needs it, but we might have that. And we do have still the idea of the website, but kind of did scratch that idea when we met the other day, but we want to do the one person stuff and spend our time doing that. It's the summertime, we'd rather do that. I think we're gonna get more traction that way, but we can make sure who we're actually talking to.
It's worth reiterating when we meet
Yes.
too. So that, people are always welcome.
maybe if we kind of come up with a draft statement with the postcard about who we are, and what we're asking. It can be a generic statement that you can use, or part of it, you know, whatever's appropriate to just kind of give the brief introduction to who we are, what our task is, and why we're asking, what would you like?
Yeah, you know. Sharing even the postcard, you know, that is for the town, but even maybe having that to say, we're doing these things.
Yeah.
You know, we could bring copies of the ordinance if people want it. Sometimes people just don't like looking at the internet, but then they want hard copy.
In our meeting with the regional planning folks, they cautioned us very clearly also about
Careful,
being
careful.
really careful about like how we talk to people so that they don't feel threatened, like that we want something from them, that it's gonna cost them money, that we want their land or their house for.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
the first, this is, that Eli, who has a lot of experience and was saying, you know, sometimes people are, I don't think we're talking about anything that would do that,
Yeah.
but if I noted it, for sure.
That's,
Should I also just bring up, I'm gonna be meeting with a representative of the Resilience Hub.
Yes.
I forgot who it was, I think I actually received emails.
Ray?
Well, it might have been.
Or Francis Rose?
I think it was Ray, but I'm pretty sure, again, I think I received emails from different people, it's been a whole saga of scheduling for the past month or so, but we finally got it worked out for this Friday, which, said that the grant, it was this Friday too.
Yeah, but I have Friday.
So Laura Calvin Bailey at VCRD.
Laura something,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah, hopefully that'll reveal some sort of opportunity to further proliferate the message. Because the farmers market door knocking, I mean, that's just a start. Won't cover everyone.
I had a question about that. I don't know if this is the time to ask. I don't want to mess up the agenda, but so did you guys figure out a way to bring on the MTAP funding from VCRD in time to get it before the window closed? Great.
Yes, and then it's.
Good, good.
At least, Will and Betsy and I were working with, regional planning folks, and they were like right on it.
Great.
And that, yeah, we can do this and, some of the, and she's already provided us with. At least the beginnings of this opportunities assessment and, for them, some of it's kind of boilerplate, so they can do it pretty quickly, obviously, but still. It's been good.
Good.
Is that everything on MTAP funding?
Oh, you went a little.
Yeah, they morphed into each
Oh,
other.
we skipped Western.
Yeah, I only
Light.
one sentence on the untapped funding, just so we just,
Yeah,
so we sort of update this.
sorry. Oh, and yes, updates from Chris. Sorry, Chris, I threw you in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
because I thought our liaison, we haven't heard from our liaison.
Yeah,
recently.
I've been gone. I think I've missed the last 3 meetings.
Has it
Is
been
that right?
three? I
I think it's-
knew it was two.
Well, I would, then, it was the night that the symposium happened, I was wrapped
yeah.
up in that. And then I think I missed 2 others, so it's been a long time. I was gonna ask for, what did I miss?
Well,
One thing,
you could read our very copious minutes.
yes, I did, what are you kidding?
Oh,
That was
good.
riveting.
Okay, riveting.
Lots of
Um,
hours.
Well, I guess I'm personally interested to know if anything's progressing with the former inn.
Yep. I don't know the deeper details, but I know that they're moving forward. I know that there's a timeline that they have to adhere to be able to make use of the CDBGDR funding. And I was gonna also offer this group that, I have a very simple PowerPoint that John Broderick put together. That explains the burgeoning vision for proposed housing on the campus back 90. There's no good drawings yet, but there are satellite photos with outlines of the area. And there's some proposals for the number of units and what they might look like. The amalgamation of different configurations. And some talk about what programs might support it. And what needs to happen to move it forward. So I don't know if
That
that's,
sounds great.
it would be good for me to plug this in to do that, so I don't know if you wanna put me on the agenda for the next meeting and I take 15-20 minutes to do that, or I just try and
Yeah, it'd
speak
be
to
better to
it.
give you more time to squeeze it in.
Yeah,
Also, that way it will be on the agenda
Yes.
and then people who want to see it.
And if you have stuff in the meantime.
right, and there might be more stuff that I can get together for it if I know it.
But just out of curiosity, we're still looking at 30 units.
So this projection has 60 units. And it's
60?
60 with a mix of freestanding and also, multiplex, like, yeah. And he's trying to avoid getting involved in if you guys know the space I'm pointing to. Out there over the ravine, there's a natural open meadow that he would like to not interrupt and try to set the housing in the wood lines that surround it, so that that's a shared meadow space.
Chris,
Yeah.
I had introduced Sandy Vitson to, um, to that area. We took a walk together, showed her where Earth Walking was. It's a beautiful long stretch. I mean, it's very, very attractive. But the entrance to it seemed to be only through the northward outbound side. Is that still the case?
There's an access to be made between the old design buildings. So if it doesn't work out, that we can figure out.
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful access built already there and, but it requires interests and participations that we don't know will come together. So, but we've all walked that double track and you look left and right, you go, why not here, you know? So there's, you know, Richard and Sally's property comes up next to that at an angle, but there is a good portion of potential building lots along the double track out to the meadow there. And that is where the original, what it's being called or referred to informally as Campus 3, because that's where Pitkin had cited Campus 3.
That's right.
We have maps that show that, so we want to kind of follow the legacy.
What is the double trap?
The double track is the two tire tracks out to the meadow, right from, what is that road called? Northwood Drive.
Okay, there's a.
Right past the the GDR Pratt Center
Yeah.
left, there's another rough left that's roped off. That you can easily drive any kind of vehicle down when it's not mud season. It's like a perfectly flat,
Yeah, right along the edge of the campus field.
that's, yeah.
Oh.
On the,
that's-
from northward side, from the northward side. Driving into the back meadow there.
Would be a loss of incredibly good verdicts.
Yeah, well, that's what's so interesting, you know, about Mike is that he's really interested in doing this in whatever way possible, that it wouldn't disturb the natural environment any more than necessary. And that's nice to hear. I'd also really like to see green building involved, and that's definitely being discussed. Efficiency is definitely on the docket. Green building materials is another story, but that is of interest also.
Is the plan for subdivision and sale of lots, or will it all be owned by?
I think I shouldn't answer that yet.
I had a conversation with John about it.
I don't think it's.
A couple of weeks ago, so it may or may not be up to date. But it sounded like there was some openness,
Yeah.
that there might be some that was involved ownership. At that moment.
There's some talk of like a condoized approach where you own your home, but maybe not the land it sits on, or I don't know enough about it to speak to it, but.
Yeah, it's not a set in stone thing.
Not yet,
Yeah.
no, not at all, it's still, we're still waiting on some drawings from MSK to know where the marshland is, like where the wetlands are. So what I'll show when I do. Might still not have that element of like, where we're looking at where the lots actually can be, just the general area that he's hoping they'll be in, which is still interesting.
There's something I could throw in that might be worth noting. I lived for a short time in a community in Delaware called Harding. It's sort of famous. It was founded in 1908, and it's a big tract of communally owned land. And people have either single lots or double lots on which to build. They own the house that they build on it, but they don't own the land.
Right.
And you could actually see how their charter is set up,
Yeah.
all that kind of thing. It might be helpful.
Yep,
I mean, if you want to see our
yep,
bylaws and all of that, it's.
okay,
I lived in Route 2.
Community owned land, but it's our bylaws, it's not like. You know, there's a housing association, there has to be a housing association, but it's. Our housing association, so it's not like that, you have to have a White House or something.
yep,
And, we had a great lawyer. If. If that. It ends up being helpful. And. From the same firm. who was the lawyer we talked to, that was representing God, representing my.
Liam Murphy?
Liam Murphy.
Murphy, so
Yeah.
it was from his office, the guy, and he was just great.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah, Liam's pretty darn good too so
Yeah,
far.
well, he may be, yeah, he's probably the boss, but, the
Okay.
associate we worked with was really picked up on exactly what we wanted to do.
Mhm. Okay.
Is there any opportunity for like? Other people to look at that or like contact you, I'm thinking about this specifically, because I have
Oh,
a
sure.
that, like if there's like groups of people
Oh.
who wanna look at that and do their own thing.
I think pass it, I have already passed it to. Numbers of the
Yes,
They're doing.
proprietary.
that was.
Oh, yeah, of course, you were, were you here when I was in here? I came to tell the story of Goddard that day. I was just.
Not that, I wasn't there. That one.
Okay.
Ornithology.
Okay, I was just saying to Betsy that, along the lines of her concerns of the nature being disturbed out there, that. North Branch Nature Center is running their intensives here on campus this summer. And they love it. They, they're finding all the plants that they need to study out there and. Spending the day out there and I think they're doing at least 2. I don't think they're doing 3, but they love this. It's working for them. Which speaks to the importance of the biomes out there.
Lots of ticks too.
And lots of ticks. I just hear the stories. I don't.
Stay on the pavement.
Stay on the pavement this summer. Oh, yeah.
Something out there, it was like, all mosquito netting, and I seriously was like, can I get them?
Yeah, yeah. Nowadays,
Well, that'll be really cool.
yeah.
I think I've told you that general area is where I had my TV set up for 2 years while I was here in
Cool.
1970 something.
Yeah, well, me too, like that's where I worked with Chris Pratt, 92. On the forestry project, and the log piles that we set are still crumbling in certain spots out there. That's really something to see, a relic from your, it's like that.
Am I correct? From a brief conversation with Matt, is there already routes for sewer and water in that area too?
Well, the infrastructure would come from the Village of Learning, the dorms would feed through the ravine. Across the ravine, so there is no infrastructure out there yet.
Not yet, okay.
But we'd be interested in applying for CHIP support for that. And we met with the head of CHIP here and proposed the same thinking in PowerPoint to them, Jessica Hartleman, that I'll show you guys. And she said, send it,
Yes.
so let's go.
I thought perhaps the feed out to Northwood came close to where they would connect in from this newer housing. But I'm not sure.
That you might know more about it than I do. I think what they were proposing was straight across the ravine from the Village of Learning, because that's closer to where the units might be, I guess.
Yeah, actually, John Baker knows much more than I do, so,
Hmm.
so he's probably be willing.
Yeah, there's also questions about what still lives associated with the design buildings, that there's, yeah, so
What town is that technically in?
it's a good question. So there's Marshfield and East Montpelier over there, yeah. In that
It
corner,
goes north into East Montpelier.
there's a piece of I think the shop is East Montpelier out there.
Yeah.
And then, but then Marshfield there's a piece of Marshfield in that little stretch between.
Like the driveway. It is confusing out there.
Yeah,
I was in a meeting on Monday, maybe, no, it was last week with Mike, and I had used as an illustration, a map I made of the campus in 1979, upon which I drew the current boundary lines. It's really weird. And you'd like it to be less weird.
yeah, it would be better, right?
All right, shall we move on to the Western Right architect?
Yeah, just an update. I've been contacted by Western Right. I sent some information about his practice and what he did in Soldiers Grove in Wisconsin. In the 70s, moving at a 600 first pound out of the floodplain and locating it on dry ground. And he's very much, his practice is based on resilience, and he saw well, he went to Goddard, got his architectural degree from Goddard. I'm not sure what that really amounts to these days, but so he knows the campus, he knows the village, he knows the town. And he saw the thing on PBS and he just said, what can I do to help? This project at Goddard is certainly could be something he's really interested in. He wanted to help out with the East Village, but they had their own, architects and designs going. You don't want too many cooks in the kitchen in some of these things, but he's still interested. And like the conservation group is gonna lead the walking path over to the co-op. And this on July 2nd at 12:30, there's gonna work with the National Park Service coordinator and landscape architect from Maine. Threw that out to West, and he wants to come up and sort of get his hands in this.
There's a big piece of work that maybe this committee must know about, which is sort of overlapping what you're saying. The National Park Service with the meeting with Carl Physics and
The FEMA buyout.
the FEMA buyout,
Yeah.
use of the property that will be open if you tear those
Yes,
houses down.
that is something else.
But the study that they quote, and which I know that we encouraged back a year ago, more than a year ago, was University of Pennsylvania had a scientific.
Mhm.
And what they produced was a book that has probably 25 pages devoted to Plainfield.
Yeah, I was at that meeting. Yeah, where they presented.
I
Yeah,
have
so
that
that-
asset if we
But
want to
it's now
share that.
published is what I'm saying.
Okay,
And then I could share it with the committee.
great.
Yeah, I have that too.
I would love to see that. I've seen
Yeah,
a couple of
it's great.
pages of it. It
Yeah,
looked
I have
really.
the whole- I have the
Very
whole
interesting.
thing.
Very tasteful.
Yeah, it's well done. It's a good PowerPoint. I have that cut out. In that document, it had Barry and Montpelier as well. They did Barry, Montpelier, and Plainfield.
Freetown.
So we took out the Plainfield piece and we have that isolated.
So if you could send the existing PowerPoint.
Yep.
On this to the committee, that
Yeah.
would be great. I would forward it to Weston.
Yeah.
He wants to come up, so.
Yeah.
he's-
The broad strokes of that were definitely focused on the potential East Village expansion and Goddard expansion. And basically didn't address anything aside from those two components within Plainfield. So I thought there was a lot of room in there physically between those two spaces where we're trying to put a lot of attention.
And they
Yeah.
talked about walkable Plainfield. It's
Yeah.
Very big focus.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that having a connection between those two would be like a physical connection, be like literally being able to walk.
Well,
between those
that's
two.
what the July walkthrough is gonna
Yeah.
do and see what that does. And then the project for what to do with the FEMA buyout properties. You
Yeah.
can't just like, leave that be and then to coordinate between them. So those,
That's what I
Those-
brought an update.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
It would be interesting for this group to look through that PowerPoint together. I don't want to waste the committee's time, but it actually was really enlightening to look at it.
Oh, it'd be good to just get our vision
Yeah.
ahead of time and
Yeah.
then have the discussion and
Yeah.
presentation.
Or should I still send it out?
Yeah.
as a PDF to everybody?
Well, I'm gonna send it right now. You want me to put you in the email just in case I have something
Absolutely, sure.
different
Yeah.
than what you think?
And I should also say that the faculty member that coordinated that whole thing, I can't remember his name right off the bat, but I wrote him afterwards to thank him. And he indicated they're not exactly done. I mean, in the sense that a new group of students could adopt Plainfield again.
Oh.
Sure,
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
yeah.
Could you repeat the info about the July walkthrough?
The July walkthrough, as I understand, is July 2nd.
The second.
Stephanie, and I forget the names, so I could get them. Stroud, yeah, she's the National Park Service Coordinator. And there's the landscape architect from Maine, Bedford, Maine, I think. And they're gonna walk together with the Conservation Commission, people from Goddard, trying to figure out, and the trail, Cross Trails Vermont builder.
Yeah, cross from the tree.
Yes, he's an incredibly skilled builder and very ambitious.
Yeah,
He's gonna do, if you ever go down to the Winooski 8 site and see the walk pass, biking pass up the Route 32 and all that work he did and then have it all when you went back and did it.
Wow.
Guys incredible.
Are you gonna, look at the 2023 properties too? Because I know the national park people.
Yeah, well, this whole, the
Yeah, I
National
was-
Park Service involved.
I was promoting that they at least look at, is there a way to utilize some of that to, connect, it's super tricky, but to
Real-
connect all the way to, Maple Valley or
Yeah,
whatever.
real beginning stuff, real beginning. Great. So, I just have been conversing with Preston, he's a really fascinating guy, it seems to be really skilled and really interested in the town, so I'll keep feeding him information and he'll come up, hopefully. There's so many people who wanna help, it's hard
Yeah.
to like, throttle in, put him in the right place.
What time is that?
The walk is July 2nd at 12:30.
That's 1:30.
Yeah, and I'm, yeah,
Where are they?
I don't have that details, I don't know how
I
many
think
people
we're
that
gonna
are.
need the municipal building, but I can.
Yeah, yeah.
Should I segue into?
Sure, well,
I know, you didn't exactly pick a point where I would,
yeah,
could be at the very end.
I'll let Liz.
You could be next.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
very, okay. All right, so the question of what's happening with the buyouts comes up often. And it's not just who's in the program, but also who's out of the program. In other words, some people who entered the buyout program are choosing to leave it, or they have already left it. So it creates a different impression, and if you just, you might remember, I sent the committee, this is a really bad printing job because my printer's going nuts, but I sent the map showing the status of a bunch of different houses. And, for instance, 99 Brook Road, which is the corner of Brook and Creamery, is being evaluated next week for the Emergency Watershed Protection Program, which would add a lot of riprap and stabilization to the bank where the brook continually etches its way towards that brick house that's up there. And if it's satisfactory, the owner of that house may take it out of the buyout program. In other words, the reason to enter the buyout program is thinking that the house is eventually going to get lost. And that's got at least 2 housing units in it. It's presently it's broken up into 2, and it could even be as many as 3. But that's something that hasn't been in the housing inventory because it's in the buyout program. And so that's a new piece, is that they might choose to, they can't do one, or they have to do one or the other. They can't.
Be happy.
Is
Yeah,
is
right.
that the house that's currently for sale, Michael? The
No, the
white
one
one?
that's on opposite from them is a different story. I was gonna bring that up.
Okay,
That's David Diamandis and Annie
The other
Cobb.
one was Susan Bond.
No, I'm not referring
No,
to Susan. Okay, yeah, Susan's is across the brook from the brick house.
Oh, okay, the brick.
So they're choosing to mitigate. flood
That's a good
risk,
point.
And,
Yeah.
and they are, or they might choose to mitigate, and that is, but it's not a FEMA mitigation program. Is that right?
That's a Department of Agriculture.
Okay,
Yeah.
and presumably they're also, if they're gonna design a, mitigation, they'll be looking at the design of the new bridges.
The new bridges are definitely going ahead. The Mill Street Bridge
Yes.
is about 9 months to a year ahead of the Brook Road Bridge.
Yeah.
But both of them will be bigger spans, of course,
Yeah.
than were previously there.
Yeah.
But there are issues that came up today, actually, that Carl and I have been concerned about, and also Peter Youngbear, which is that the footings of the bridge on each end of each end, where they're all land on buyout properties. In other words, all 4 corners of both bridges, each land on a buyout property except the Washburn Park over by Owen Bradley's. That's city owned or town owned, but that's 7 areas that are on buyout properties where we need temporary easements or extensions of the right of way so that the construction can be done. And FEMA's been sort of saying, no, you can't do that, or we'll have to take those houses out of buyout.
oh, good.
And so I think we've gotten closer to negotiating a working process to go forward. The engineers are narrowing the bridges a little bit. They won't have sidewalks on both sides potentially, which will reduce the amount of land that has to be potentially taken. And it's being treated as a temporary easement as opposed to a permanent right of way. So I hope it will be solved. The other thing that came up, Monica Ladago from the Agency of Natural Resources had sent me a list about 4 months ago showing of all the buyout properties, which one might potentially have environmental hazards. They don't want the town to end up absorbing a piece of property through a buyout that has contaminated materials like that. So out of the 32 houses, our properties that are being considered for that, 7 of them are on a watch list. which is not to say that we are being forced to do something, but they think the town will get in legal trouble if we don't do something. And that is a phase one environmental review, which would determine whether, in some cases, it's the adjacent property was used for something in the past that caused leaching of contaminated materials that could have ended up in the property the town will acquire. So that implies borings and environmental assessments and a scoping study, which could run several $1,000s. So we're kind of chewing on that. Carl's will be hoping that we can get grants for that rather than the town try to pull it out of a budget that doesn't.
And it wouldn't come under the brownfields.
It could, but that's where the potential funding would come from. So we're told we don't have to hurry because all of the properties that are being considered are 2024 bios. The 2023 bios are actually starting the demolition on Monday.
Oh, wow.
And well, no, I shouldn't say that, 3 houses on 2 properties. So 70 and 90, 72 and 90 School Street are, demolishment starts next week. And then the further property, 98, may be delayed past August, we do not know, but it's definitely gonna be sometime this year. And what that means is those will be the first properties that the National Park Service will be considering for redesign. And we're talking about, well, river access and we can, whatever will be allowed.
Sidewalks, don't forget sidewalks.
They are, the sidewalks would be in the right of way, that has not the property. Sidewalks aren't on the property themselves.
We need sidewalks and there's no room to put a sidewalk between Route 2 and property or whatever. When we, in the past, in the 90s, we were talking about, I don't remember you, but I do remember doing it with, and I think, Will was just part of that discussion, but there wasn't enough, I left the plan, but there wasn't enough room in many of those properties. And some property owners were saying, we're not gonna give up our little bit of front lawn.
Well, I do have an answer for that because we discussed it. The state highway, what's called School Street is actually state highway and has a bigger right of way than the town. The town is a 24.5 foot right of way from the center line of any street. State is more in the 40, like closer to 40 foot. And this came up when we were talking about the hiking trail going out all the way past to the call. And so in that larger right of way are areas that the property owners on School Street have been using for driveways and construction and stuff. When those houses go away, it's just land. That's all it is, just land and the existing trees. So I would imagine that you could therefore utilize right up to the edge of the existing state right of way for a sidewalk, which would, then there would be more than enough. I'm only conjecture.
I'm sure that would be adequate.
Yeah, that's conjecture, but I'm guessing that's the truth.
Would the sidewalk be contained in the states right away, or would it be immediately
In the
outside?
states right away. We cannot build a sidewalk
In that lot?
in the properties cannot have paved walkways. They have to be absorbent. They have to be gravel or something like that. That's all, that's a FEMA regulation. So that's 3 properties, but we also pointed out that there is a 4th property available for, not for housing, but for, well, actually it could be for housing, but it belongs to the town, which is right after the old hardware store. There's a lot that used to have the oldest fire station, and it was historical society, and it's been torn down. If there was a way to have a contiguous recreation spot, that would be identified, maybe because there are concrete piers on that one for the sidewall of what used to be the building. Possibly you could fish off it if there was a safe way to do that, things like that. So you have that pressure of the FEMA regulations. I'm trying to say this pretty quickly, but they have that pressure from the FEMA regulations about limiting use. But then if we pull out the dam, which is the other project I'm deeply involved with, if you pull out the dam, that body of water, which extends from the dam 1.25 miles upstream in the direction of Marshfield, disappears. What happens instead is from behind the hardware store to a little bit upstream, you have a sloping ledge. which is, kind of rippled in steps. We've done an evaluation of it. And therefore, the river will end up coming not to a dam and going over the dam, but instead it will come down a steeper slope at the bottom of a fairly deep gorge, and it will be a water cascade. So it won't be stable because the backyards of people like Andy and Goobering will be silt and dirt that has been built up level, but when you've got a gorge that drops off 15 or 20 feet below what now is the present water level, their backyard could collapse into that gorge. So the other part of our project, which may not know about, is to stabilize.
You can't have one without the other.
That's right. So, and the third big part, which is not necessarily gonna lead to anybody's attention, is that the sediment at the bottom of that gorge, you could just let wash out. But unfortunately, that sediment is full of bad stuff. It's got sewage from the 2023 Marshfield sewage treatment plant failure. It's got phosphates from farming runoff. It's got heavy metals. It's got all kinds of stuff. So they're literally going to have to pull it out. They're guessing 300 to 400 dump truck loads of sediment to get all of that bad material out of there so that when the river runs freely, it won't harm downstream properties. So that it's sort of weird because you can't plan for a park with a backyard basically lake right now, which is School Street, and then take the lake away 3 years from now. The funding may come through for the dam removal. It's quite a bit more expensive than it was when we first talked about it. But it's in the neighborhood of 2.3 million, I think, at this point. It had started like 1.6 or 1.8. And that, the next stage is the engineering study. The funding has been obligated and it's going to be released whenever FEMA releases it.
Is that for removal and for the shoring?
It's for both, yes. It's the engineering study of exactly what steps and how it will be done. And then the last step is to hire somebody to do the job.
So as I've looked at it, the report. In a similar way to the bridges in the village. The dam removal would have a significant mitigating effect on flooding, at least from the dam back to the. Whatever that distance is, Marshfield, past the Marshfield lawn. Is there a chance that FEMA? So. It's part of a broader discussion, but the group of buildings. That I understand are in the flood zone and are.
Upstream.
Required to have, the insurance and. So it's the,
Right now,
the apartment buildings that's for sale, the hardware store. I think the River House. I think all of those buildings are within the flood zone, but they would be after the dam comes out.
Right.
So do you think that FEMA will be willing to reclassify any of those?
well,
For that area after the dam removal happens?
you mean in terms of flood risk and flood insurance?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we're doing the same thing. The other big study group I'm involved with is the one studying is the Great Lakes Scoping Study. And we were talking about that today, because if anything, the scoping study is going to increase the floodplain for the Great Brook. In other words, what used to be the floodplain has been expanded by the brook itself. It's created huge gullies and great widths of floodplain. So remapping that floodplain may put more houses into the adjacent area that can't be developed than was the case before. In your case, you're talking about narrowing and becoming less so above, the window suite, and you're probably right. Already, one of our engineers from SOR did a digital modeling of the highest level that the river would come to in the event that the dam is removed. And several houses that are presently endangered would not be, including one of the houses that's in Bayard. But it's already done. I mean, that one's a done deal. So it does keep changing, David. I mean, it's just really hard to predict. The last thing I wanted to say is that, going back to the leaching and environmental stuff, is that all of the other properties that are called abandoned buildings right now haven't been evaluated for phase one. So when talking about the impact of those houses perhaps coming back through, public domain, condemning them or whatever, it has to be considered the history of that and what impact it would have, and just kind of look at that. And one of the problems that has led to one of those houses to be abandoned, 79 School Ave, is on the north side, 2 up from the hotel, is owned by Alan Goldman. It's the one in the furthest up the ravine that comes down from the north side. And that ravine enters a culvert that has, is somewhat undersized on the uphill side. And that's partly because the house sits on top of the culvert. The culvert is actually part of the house foundation.
Al gave
He
us
was-
a good- Al
he was
gave
here
us a long,
last meeting.
all right.
detailed, not just description, but history.
Yeah, back
Yeah.
to, I forget, like 1972, I think.
Well, the only reason I say that is that when these buyouts go through in the next couple of weeks and the town takes ownership, then we're gonna address that culvert.
Good.
So it may come back in a way to help. I mean, he and I are on speaking terms because he used to be a student of mine at Goddard, so we have assumed he wants to hang on to it as long as possible, but that the culvert upsizing issue might lead into.
So he's aware of all this.
He's aware of it through conversation, but he's not aware of it through anything. Right?
Oh, good, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm done. That's pretty much.
Okay.
Unless anyone has.
Yeah, some good information.
That's-
It is a change in landscape.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Can you explain that, just briefly, the property that is over the culvert that is owned by Al Goldman?
Yes.
So is that gonna be removed?
Well, there's no money to do that.
But how are they gonna address the culvert then?
Well, if the house is, if the culvert is to be upsized. That involves the state, because the culvert was under the highway. But the size of any work on the culvert, including going under the highway, is going to require that the town have control of the land that is on the Winooski side. So if the town controls that, then the clear obstacle to upsizing from the point of view of V-Trans is the north side of the highway. And
The north side of the
that-
highway being the part under the house?
yeah, because
Just give me a little more.
From there it goes
north,
underground,
south,
yeah.
I'm getting a little confused.
It's there's the three
Yeah.
houses that Goldman.
Yeah, I know,
owns.
another house,
Yeah.
I've been in it,
It,
I've been in it,
when we looked at it and we walked through there
yes,
a couple of times, and my sense was. When you look at it, that whole house is sunken
and moldy.
and
Uh-huh.
broken windows. You know, I mean, I'm all for saving everything we can. That house doesn't look like it. I can't imagine engineers will be looking at this culvert issue and not coming to the conclusion that the house has to go. I know Al may not agree with that. It was a little hard to tell when he talked to us, but, it just, it's sunken down. It just, I'm sure it's moldy and everything else, and
He did have people renting it a year ago. That's amazing, but he did briefly.
there's
But the thing that I was kind of getting at, which might answer your question, is that. Because with 2 property owners controlling both ends of that culvert. And Louis not being at all eager to have his house or part of his house turned to look at the changes. That if the town owns and controls the south side, then we could become a willing partner with V-Trans to have that culvert upsized. Then the real single issue for V-Trans would be how much can they tear apart on the north side? And if they did go down, even within their right of way, it's going to have to impact that house. And so there's almost no way they can work without negotiating some change there. I mean, I explored with, who was the earlier town clerk, it was, or with Linda Wells, actually, about what it would take to, condemn that house. And it looked like there was some illegal obstacle, but I still don't give up that idea that it could potentially be condemned. The trouble is,
So
well,
I'm a little clearer, thank you, that the south end of the culvert is now going to be on, as soon as this building is removed. Quinton's, whatever,
yeah, there's a garage. over it.
when that's removed, then that will be town property.
Yes,
So there'll be some way for the town to be able to hopefully be part of the negotiations of
exactly.
upsizing that.
Yeah, I was thinking of trying to say it as the town has had more leverage.
Does- it does the culvert need to be replaced for the road, or is it only because it affects the house?
The culvert's undersizedness is on the north side where the stone culvert under the house meets it. So if that were torn away, then the main culvert, the one that goes under the road, it's not that the road will have to be torn up, it won't. The culvert on the Winooski side, I think is adequate. I mean, I'm not a water engineer, but I think it's adequate. But on the north side, it's horribly undersized because it matches the output of that stone culvert. And if V-Trans wanted that culvert to be appropriately open to water flow, it means demolishing part of that stone culvert. And maybe by asking the house, tearing the house down, but, you know, without making any more,
Al told us that the house flooded because of the culvert, not because of the river.
well, once it did, because the river backed up the opposite way.
Yeah, yeah, because he said isn't it like at an angle or something? The culvert,
Elliptical.
elliptical, that's it, yeah. Is that property next to the inn? I'm not familiar with the numbers.
There's a house, see that blue blob there?
Yes,
That's the flooding area that goes uphill on the north side of Route 2. The inn is here,
okay,
then there's a brick house here, a white house right there that's got all the hatch mark on it, and then another brick house. Al owns all three.
ah,
I'm sorry, there's such a bad.
no, it's okay. I just,
Did I answer your question, Bessie?
Thank you.
Very small aside, you mentioned the property that was the former firehouse,
Yes,
it's owned by the town,
yes.
It's very small.
that's all I wanted to know.
is the building still there or is it not?
It's gone, just the
Oh.
concrete footage
Yeah.
is there.
Was that the one that Shoemaker bought?
No, it belonged to the town all along,
Oh.
and it was, last utilized by the Historical Society until the roof started to fall apart.
Okay,
Jay Southgate. Proposed one,
yeah,
but it
right.
didn't work out.
Oh, it didn't work out. I think we could move on to the next agenda item, which is,
And just to follow, I just sent that out to
Oh,
everybody,
great,
and a
thank
lot
you.
of what you were talking about, Michael, was referred to in that UPenn study. Just the FEMA buyouts, where they're located, there's a good map in there. Interesting.
Well, there, I just noticed today for the first time an error.
Yeah, it's been updated for sure.
the new committee reporting structure for reports to the select board. Did you add that? Oh, okay, I think we did touch on this last time.
we were just gonna update on.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we had a proposal last meeting that we would give a quarterly report to the select board. And I volunteered to write the first one. And actually, I was supposed to have written it by today because I thought that the select board meeting was the 15th. But it actually turns out it's the 22nd. So I have until the 17th to write it because it has to be given to them 5 days ahead of the meeting, and then if they have questions, they contact us and I appear at the meeting and speak to anything they need to know. I'm not anticipating doing this every time, but I'm happy to do it this first time. And I've started drafting the report, and I'll share it with all of you before I send it to them, so I'd appreciate, like, if you think it's too long or too short, I'm missing stuff or going into too much detail. Probably I'll go into too much detail. So that's the update on that. All right, vacant and dilapidated housing ordinance update.
Yeah, I can provide the update. Peter had asked me to contact the health officer, the constable, the zoning administrator, because right now we have Karen who's gonna move on and Haley Hope who's gonna be the acting one, and I sent him the ordinance and asked him to comment. I haven't heard back. I don't know if that means, sure, it's all good. If I get to it, I'll probably give them a little follow-up. I'd like to give everybody a little bit of time to digest stuff, but I'll just maybe do a little polite follow-up and see what they say. So at least they know that something is coming their way if we end up enacting this.
I sent it to Jonathan Matthew too.
Okay,
With fire.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
chief.
Yeah, who did you say is the health officer?
health officer and the zoning administrators and the constable, I think. They all could be involved in some form or another, mostly the health officer, zoning administrator. So we're moving along, we're trying to get everybody on the same page, don't want to dump anything like, what, nobody know me, that's a mistake.
I think we should talk briefly about the other part of the MTAP money and the report that we got and. We can just, so folks understand and can help figure out where we go with it.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of got muddled
Sure.
there. So you had a meeting.
I'll start and then Will and Betsy can come in. So Will and Betsy and I met with the folks from regional planning. Will and I had met with Nikki Sabado, who seems to be the lead person from regional planning, earlier. And I think we sent, or between Will and I, we sent emails that they're basically, guess you could say contracted with them for using the $3,500 of MTAP money. And this first document that I sent to everybody is their first draft, maybe last draft of what they're calling the opportunities assessment. I think we have to figure out what to do with it. I haven't given that a ton of thought yet. But one of the things that occurs to me is that we should put it on the town website and that we should also have a town email on the town website.
A group email that would go to all of us,
And that would be fine with me.
yeah, because Lydia's setting up an email too, so.
Yeah, I don't have it, I never.
Just don't want to have too many emails.
Yeah, well, we can do, and then, if we get anything, so we've got nothing on it, so we haven't used it, but we can just funnel it, like, hey, we got this email, and then spread it to all of us, and then.
Yeah, Google can do that automatically.
Oh,
Yeah, I think so.
And one of the things that in addition to the housing opportunities assessment is this postcard, which Betsy did a draft of. And I think if we need to provide contact information and then we need to be prepared to provide follow-up information. Some of which would be included in the opportunities assessment document. That's about as far as I've done.
Yeah, I would say it's a pretty big thing for this whole group to digest, but if we go through or look at the documents and pick out the opportunities that you think like would fit at the, village designation center.
Yeah. What occurred to me about that very quickly is that there are very set boundaries for that program.
Right.
It would be easy to identify literally every property that could apply to. And it could be worth doing outreach to all those properties to let the owners know, like, you are in the zone for this program. This is money that only you in this town would be able to apply for. If you're thinking of doing anything, this is a resource. Because I don't think that people generally know about the programs.
Yeah.
Unless they're specifically looking to do something.
Yeah.
But if they knew that, if they heard they could get support for it, then perhaps it would induce them to.
And that's more or less what we were talking about with postcard, was
Yeah.
that it would be targeted.
Yeah.
And it might include we might include like, we might include VHIP and mention ADUs and,
Yep.
those kinds of things, because, and identify properties that are, could easily accommodate ADUs. Being careful that people realize we're not trying to force ADUs on them.
Wait, so
But yeah,
targeted outreach for the properties that are part of the opportunities assessment?
or that would qualify for the program for some of the.
That was,
some-
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Each of the programs have specific boundaries about what properties they can service.
So,
Postcard would be general and just an invitation for people, at least that's how I interpret it. Invitation for people who live in the village or beyond, a little bit beyond, to just be informed that these programs exist. And then, yeah, we love to work with them. They have any ideas, give us a call, that kind of thing.
We might say that we can help. People to contact the right people or provide some guidance as to who might be qualified for what. That's a tricky business, like, I'm not qualified to tell them to know who's gonna be qualified for what, but I think we could.
Might be.
We could point people in the direction.
Yeah.
And,
so how will the outreach work? Like, have you got a list of specific addresses for the postcard?
I think that Nikki was going to take a map, am I correct? Or David was going to take a map.
I think we have to provide, those addresses or the area. But it's not extensive. It's, she said, well, this was partly had to do with cost too, but we were talking about 50.
Yeah.
That's what they know. And of course, there is the time element that it all has to be done by the 30th. So.
I'd like to offer something to you about that, David. I was in the Lady Press today in Montpelier to pick up a printing job that the Hazard Mitigation Committee did. And if you have more than 200, you might be able to increase the number of people you send things to. If you have more than 200, you can do what is called an every door direct mail, EDM, and the cost is from 78 cents for first class down to 24 cents. And it's just basically, you can pick addresses in 05667, and as long as it's one delivery route, it cuts the cost by a third. So just if that's helpful.
So it's like 201.
201, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that this particular mailing is. The impression I got was they're just gonna take care of it, regional planning. is
Okay.
gonna
Well, that's
deal with-
always
We
nice.
have to give them the addresses and approve, give them, as much as we need to of text. They'll do the design and, make it into a nice postcard and send it out. And that's the impression of it.
I think that's right, and I think they wanted us to kind of give it a skeleton format, and then they'll edit it or whatever, but we should decide as a group what we want to say to people that would be invitational and not in any way pressure anyone to have to participate in any of this. But just that kind of be saying, we have some new information and we love to share.
I only looked at it quickly because it just came.
It's a- Well,
The only thing I noticed was dilapidated.
Free
Which
cookies.
is spelled wrong.
Sorry about that.
I made a few corrections, but I, yeah, I think it was perfectly adequate for this first go round, and I think we should, we're a bit of a time crunch, so I would
Yeah.
say. I'm fine with that, what Betsy came up with some minor editing, it's just a basic outreach that we're
Yeah,
here.
I
we're
do.
here to help.
Right, it's much more eloquent and thorough, but I just put it in a simple way, because I thought, we're trying to meet, we're trying to write. I don't know, I'm still a preschool teacher, so I am writing for this in a simple way. So that people can, understand it. Yeah.
It seemed perfectly reasonable to me. But I would change the last sentence a little bit, instead of saying. Expand, instead of saying here is some of what we've learned about expanding already existing structures. I would just say something like, here's what we've learned about potentially available resources available to homeowners. Something like that.
Okay, forget that we want to share it with you, that.
And the committee was really formed in January 2026.
Good, I couldn't remember.
Not the fall of 25.
I know it was sometime.
It was cold,
It
it was dark.
Yeah, people were wearing fleeces and hats.
Yeah.
And so the next step would be. Maybe we would send this, maybe,
Yes, and then.
and then
we'll
she'll probably get some feedback or ask questions, and then sometime over the. I'm reasonably available to work on. Addresses and the like next week, and, and we might, I think we have to put some contact information.
Yep.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure if we actually had to put. I'm finding the balance between what's reasonable to do digitally and as opposed to. Do we actually list resources on the postcard?
Your limited amount, the ideal is to have a number and an email address, and then, you can put it on the website, but we won't have to be able to say if somebody doesn't have access to the internet.
Right.
If we talk to the Carol or the town clerk, they say, they can get in touch with us. And I think the three of us were involved with that, we do the follow-up versus, the
Yeah.
major group doesn't want to get it.
Right.
They get into the weeds. So I'm willing to keep that up, is that the Yellowwood? So, did you,
This is my only copy,
Okay.
sorry, the original I gave back to.
okay, well, I'll see Nikki tomorrow, hopefully, and
Yeah.
just keep the conversation going.
Yeah,
And
it's
we
reasonable,
can,
so,
David, we can pick a time to meet at the town office.
yeah,
That's easy.
And I do think it's a good idea to have the meeting time and place.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because then people can put it on their fridge. Yeah, that's what we did in the fire, I remember.
yeah, we were also talking at the meeting about. Going the next step, which we talked before, going to the idea of. Applying for a municipal planning grant, which we had talked about before, and. At the meeting, we had mixed feelings about it, not everybody was ready, we didn't think we were quite ready. We weren't going to, but anyway, then we remembered. Maybe not the original, but maybe the original, planning grant that had been done in the 70s,
Wow,
80s.
wow.
Yeah, we're gonna digitize that,
86.
so
Oh, cool.
it's a pretty big file, but I
It
think she agreed to do it.
Yeah. and
She didn't
this
look
is-
at it though.
Yeah, and this isn't this is just a Xerox copy of it.
Yeah, no, this is
So it could be-
before all that stuff, so if we
could
could get it as a PDF, it'd be much more useful.
Yeah, and maybe the town has the original, if you want to get down there.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
here's what I,
okay, yeah, I'll get that, I'm be in town tomorrow anyway, so.
Can I make a brief announcement, just very quickly, something that I heard earlier, I think, you need to elaborate on, you said that July said June 10th, National Park Service Committee.
July 2nd, still.
Okay, so there's a July 2nd meeting, which is a planning meeting. That they're talking about a July 10th walkthrough on the campus. Mike,
Oh, on this, the walkthrough I was mentioning was for the bike path to the co-op.
oh, well, it's sort of, I don't know if she changed her mind about it, but
Yeah.
I just read her email.
Okay,
And she's saying the idea that Mike and I and everyone else were discussing is how do people safely get to the co-op in the center of the village? And so that 10th is proposed tentatively
okay,
as a time where we could physically walk alternative paths through the campus, which might involve going behind Kilpatrick and from the walkway around the manor, at the woods edge there, and down that service road, what used to be a service road to Route 2, and then getting back on the shoulder. So I just thought you should know about that if Mike hadn't told you. So I'm sure somebody will stay in contact with you about it, but for the public to know that's what's going on. And the reason it shows that weekend is which Chris does know, is that on the 11th and 12th, that very same weekend, we are intending to do a campus and a town event with Bread and Puppet and Bread and Puppet Films. So Bread and Puppet is coming here to perform on the 10th of July. And she, from National Park Service, thought that
The 11th, I'm sorry.
11th of July, 10th is the day she's proposing. So she proposed building on the momentum of that. In other words, if people are coming to town, it might be something with more participation if they put it on the 10th of July.
sure.
Good idea. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, that's all I wanted to.
So it might be the 10th, not the 2nd,
Well, the 10th will still be a planning meeting, but that's.
but maybe walking as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and the 11th is gonna be Bread and Puppet here.
Bread and
That would be
Puppet
great.
will be right out there on the lawn, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, my God.
They like to,
wonderful.
they like to decide when they come where it will be, but it's historically been up on the hill above the theater and then or here, right in this green here.
It's
And then
a
it's-
small group, small.
Oh, it'll be a smaller group,
Yeah.
and then on the 12th, it'll be down in town, right?
Yeah, but it also involves Business Gate Farm. This is mostly, it's, the title of the event, is, Bread and Puppets Plainfield, Bread or 1970s Plainfield. In other words, the focus is on that 4-year period of time from 70 to 74. And so I've asked Richard Griswold or Open Gate Farm for tours, which they're doing. David Halle is doing campus tours here on both days. Cool. We have a potential oral history thing we're popping up, and King is opening the bookstore in his archives of Plainfield from that era for
Oh, that's cool.
both full days. And the restaurants, I'll be talking to Zach, for instance, to see if he can open Sunday, that kind of thing. Well, so it will be where not only people who grew up here or people who came here, but also people who are outside and haven't been here for 2 or 3 decades can come and refresh their memory of both the campus and the village.
is there a flyer on that or?
It's all being made up right there.
Any veterans of Bread and Puppet from that era that you know?
Actually, we're having a panel discussion on Sunday at the Opera House with Auburn Pat,
Okay,
as well as,
Tie-dye is
History.
optional.
what's that?
This is history.
Alicia,
Get back to the postcard. though.
yeah, please do.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can buy tickets to the movie on the website.
yeah,
On the,
You'll hear more. It'll come up.
good, okay.
Sounds great.
Sorry.
So as far as I know, David, and, well, that the postcard, the piece I just wrote is just like, 3 sentences or something to describe why they're getting this postcard. And the postcard content is going to be Nikki and this list of resources that we started with.
I think I'll get a little more detail when I see Nicky tomorrow.
But there wouldn't be,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be room for like all,
No,
there's
no,
whatever.
but
Yeah, it is
just-
in the postcard.
Just to get started
Yeah.
on what resources are available. I'm trying to say that here are some opportunities, here are some possibilities.
Right.
That could be used, and so we have to list those possibilities. And then we're gonna say, here's how you can contact us.
Do you want that email for the outreach? You still have?
Is it a Gmail?
Yes,
Okay,
it's PHAC.outreach.
does it have, who's the owner of that? You?
It's me, I'm pretty sure, I don't think
Okay.
it's like one of us.
Like,
One of them is giving its phone number and the other one giving it back.
Yeah, so like, I think it's Hazel's backup email and my phone number, so we technically both have ownership of it because
Okay.
I didn't want anybody to be like locked out.
And can you set that, can you set a rule to forward it to? I
Yeah.
don't know if everybody wants those, or probably not a bad idea to just forward it to the housing group.
Yeah, if it's anything that's like
Consider
widely
related.
related,
Yeah.
yeah, and we'll be able to distinguish if it's like something from the farmer's market and something.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, let's try to keep it simple.
Can you just send that out to us, so make sure I got it right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, do we have a something on the website? Do we,
Well, I mean, we have we have the PHAC
is lit-
webpage.
is listed,
Yeah,
And
but
it-
we don't have that information yet.
okay, and then is there any way, is there any address through the town website? Or with it, wherever, is there any kind of address that could include the town of Plain, that's from the, that's.
I have to
part of the
look,
town
I
of
think,
Plain?
I think so, I'd have to look.
Okay,
yeah.
cause that might be,
Yeah.
you know, that might be something,
We could set up, then you'd set up another website like at plainfield.gov.
yeah, that kind of.
So then we'd have two I
Well,
guess,
I'm just thinking, yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, I was just thinking that, like, it just is sort of standardized, you know, to be standardized like every other
I'll ask,
committee is.
yeah. Yeah, I think Jamie's, the town clerk's been set those up, so I could ask her, maybe we'll do it reverse and use that .gov and forward it to the.
Yes, I have two emails for you, which one is better?
Either one,
Either one?
yeah. You're both.
Okay, so I'll make a note to try to set
Okay,
that up.
so does that sound clear to people? Do we want to make a motion? Do we want to make a motion and move forward, or do we want to wait until it's more complete to?
No, because we're under a time constraint. I will make the motion to endorse the language of Betsy's postcard, some editing and some elaboration from the Central Vermont Regional Plan.
Seconded, okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I wrote that down.
Okay, I think that is the end of the meeting agenda items for this meeting. Do we have any that we know?
Oh, Chris is on the hook for.
Yeah,
this
Chris
time.
is gonna have like.
I love being the presenter.
Yeah,
That'll
Oh,
be
you're not
fun.
head
With
off the
Chris?
France or anything.
No, I'm not gonna go anywhere. What's the date?
the next meeting, yeah,
And I don't know if it's relevant. We have both. We have a PowerPoint that shows the programming on campus and the housing zone area. And I don't know, concept is that the historic preserve is an incentive for, housing here. So if that's interesting to people, I could zoom through that too, and you can
Sure.
see what's
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah, I
activity
think
that's
so.
going on here.
context
Year
is
over
always
year.
good, yeah. Okay, so the next meeting is Wednesday, June 24th at 5 p.m.
June 20.
And we.
Here in the clock tower.
Good for here?
Let's look at that.
Yeah, let's check. The air conditioning is very nice.
Oh, and I saw that when I was walking up.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
we don't have any.
So there is a very big, very large program happening on campus that week. But at 5 p.m. they might be done in here. I have to double check on which space would be best for us. I'd like it to be in here. If it were the case that they were working later than that, we'd be hard pressed to find a room over here.
But, I mean, we could go to the town meeting room. We could fit there. We don't have the owl, the screen so good, but we could. David and I were just there. We just put the air conditioner in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll confirm one way or the other.
Okay.
And it might just be that at that hour.
Yeah.
Of the day, we're fine. So
Okay,
I'll
but
double-
usually if a group says they'll be done by 4:30 or 5,
Yeah.
they're not gonna.
and we'll find out what their hours are.
Yeah, so we'll just leave that for.
So you'll confirm.
Yes.
Let us know pretty soon, because I have to reserve the meeting room too.
Okay,
But that would be acceptable.
okay.
Can I propose an agenda item?
Yes,
That between now and then, perhaps we can take the time to take a look at the document that David shared that was the sort of. I'm not sure, what is the title on it?
Opportunities.
The housing, yeah, opportunities assessment, and see if anything pops out that could be a potential thing we could, choose to act on.
If, I mean, you can just send that as an email to the group if you see something
Yeah.
that says, this looks to me like really good.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a big digest.
Yeah, I think that would be great. So read it
read it,
and then discuss at the
Yeah.
next meeting.
yeah,
Excellent.
When Nikki first started talking about it, we talked about gaps. I didn't exactly understand what she meant, but then when we got the document, it became clear what she meant by gaps, which was gaps in what we. These are things that we need to do,
Mhm.
basically. It's a pretty good list.
yeah.
All right, shall we adjourn?
Motion.
I move to adjourn.
I so move.
Seconded, 6:49.
I think these are our sides, just for the